Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pros and cons for the game between Manchester United and FC Twente. In a very what can only be described as just a pretty shit draw. I think that's the best way to go about it. Now, typically when we do these pros and cons, it's just me, myself, and Irene, as you were, and we go through the topics together. But very lucky to be joined by Mr. Civir. So we both go through the topics, and I'm pretty sure we'll have similar, kind of. Points to make about the game in full. I've not really had a chance to speak to you yet properly about it, but yeah, disappointing last night, wasn't it, Civir?
Yeah, absolutely disappointing. I was supposed to be at the game, but it was kind of like last minute, so I didn't get to go.
Probably good you didn't.
With the way it turned out, yeah,
Mm.
glad I didn't, because every time I go for like one of these evening games, I have to travel all the way from like Yorkshire, and having just losing or drawing in that sort of fashion, and then having to sit on the train for another like half an hour kind of thing. I mean, an hour and a half. Like I usually get back like 12. Like it would just be crazy with the weather.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of happy I didn't go. But yeah, that performance was just it was just empty. Like
Yeah.
it just left me feeling flat completely.
Well, I've got some topics to go through. Obviously, is there anything else as we get towards the end? Because obviously I've implemented the majority of these. If there's anything I forgot, then please do bring it up towards the end of the show, and likewise with people in the chat as well. We're going to start off with a pretty damning start with Erik ten Hag. Awful in Europe, absolutely awful. So United have just won one of their last 6 major European matches when scoring in the opening goal, and Ten Hag has only won 1 out of his last 9 in Europe, drawing 3, losing 6, drawing 2, sorry, losing 6. I think it is something along the lines of that, which is just you think about our Champions League. Go on.
Yeah. All right. So this goes back to last season's
Yeah,
Champions
so
League.
Champions League as well. Yeah, so you think about our record: lost to Copenhagen, lost to Bayern Munich, drew to Galatasaray, didn't we? Twice, I think it was, and lost to Galatasaray as well. And then we drew to FC Twente. That you can keep going back and back and back. His record, and I didn't think that was something really, Chivy, that was necessarily thrown into the mix. You know, when we were discussing when Ten Hag, when he was like, should we keep him, should we not, after the FA Cup final, everyone talks about where we finished in the league and the FA Cup, but I don't think enough people spoke about the Champions League campaign, did they?
Yeah. I don't remember. If we did, I've completely forgotten. If we did talk about it, it probably was just mentioned, fleetingly, but I don't think we actually spoke about it at length. And correct me if I'm wrong, but quite a few of those ones, including yesterday, we lost the lead. Like a lot of times, we probably, if I remember clearly, I think against Copenhagen and I think against the Turkish team, we took the lead. We must have been like 2-0 up against Galatasaray or something.
Yeah, away. So Garnacho scored and Bruno Fernandes scored.
Bruno scored, yeah, yesterday again. So I don't know. It's one of those ones. I mean, it's a terrible start to have. It's not the kind of start you would associate with us, especially. I mean, if this was under Moyes or Ralf Rangnick, you can kind of understand. Okay, yeah, well, but then this is supposed to be the guy who's the guy, and this is not his first season. This is his 3rd season, so we shouldn't be having those kind of stats at all. And if you just take everything away, all the previous records, just yesterday alone against FC Twente, I remember like the commentator said they came 3rd last season, but 22 points behind the league leaders. I mean, in comparison, I mean they'd be maybe 9th in the Prem, maybe somewhere like so. But I'm sure we're going to get into the game anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll start with the top end of the pitch. This is an obvious one, and they get spoken about so much, but it has to be on the cons and the negative section, and it's just the inability to kill a game off and not finish your chances. Basically, I think this is a huge issue with Manchester United at the moment. Once again, you've got attacking positivity, you've got some movements and combinations, but when it gets to that final execution, that the most important bit, we just cannot seem to finish, and it's a massive issue. Goals win your games. It's all good, creating chances and keeping clean sheets, whatever, but we're really struggling with that at the minute, aren't we?
We are. I think the save that the guy made was like from an own goal. It would have been an own goal, like the save from the goalkeeper. That was like the main save that I remember him making. Apart from that, I don't remember him making too many saves. I don't remember too many shots on target. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think you're right. Yeah,
Um,
I think you're right.
I don't think we threatened the goal that much. We had a lot of possession, passing in between them and all that, but none of that means anything if you're not going to capitalize on the possession you have. If you're not going to, it just looked. Yeah, it just. I didn't. At some point, I put in the chat. I was like, I don't think we're going to score many goals this season
Yeah.
because I couldn't see where. And I think we were 1-0 up at the time, or we hadn't scored. I'm not sure, but I just don't see any real chances being created, any goals being scored. Like it's a worry. It's a big worry because we kind of look okay at the back.
Yeah.
We kind of look, a little bit more. I have more confidence in our defense now and the way we're set up. We're just creating chances now. Like we're not doing that. And yeah, a few times, last season we blamed the players. We were like, well, Casemiro is not there today. Anthony is not there today. Who else isn't? There's quite a few people who aren't playing today. Oh well, not today, yesterday. There's a few players that we used to blame. They're not there. So, it's clearly not just on the players.
Yeah. I sorry, I
Yeah.
thought you were going to expand a little bit more.
Oh no, sorry, yeah.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree. I think I'm looking at that forward line now, and I'm like, who the fuck is going to get you those 20+ goals? Who's going to be that guy to take the mantle? Because you're putting a lot of trust in Marcus to say, well, we think he's going to bounce back. He's looked sharper, no doubt. Like I agree, and there's some nice bits there, and we'll discuss that a little bit later. But I just I don't see where it's coming from. I don't even Rasmus. I'm like, yeah, it's great. Rasmus is back, and he's a striker. That's his natural position, but. There was periods last season where he went without goals without 12 games or something. I think it was like ridiculous. He had spells, and what you get with young players, yeah, it's nice to have longevity and have a future there. But where's the present right now? Where's the guy who's going to get you the goals? Because I'm looking at a load of other teams and they've got killers up top.
Yeah, but how many touches did he have when he came on?
I don't even think he touched it.
He barely touched. That's what I'm saying. This is what I put this in the chat as well. It's like he's not going to get any touches. If we're going to play that style of football, I love Rasmus Højlund, but he's not the profile of player to bring on when you're controlling the game and trying to get a goal. Like that's not. If we're sitting back, playing on the counter, absolutely, with yards of space in front of him. But he can't do what Xerxes does in terms of like controlling the ball, passing, laying it on, and all that. Like we saw a glimpse of that with him and. With Xerxes and Rashford yesterday, like, that works.
Yeah.
If you're trying to break down, and Garnacho looked amazing when not amazing, but he looked really lively when he came on. He was taking people on. Yeah, he looked sharp. But Rasmus isn't like if you're going to bring Rasmus in, you're going to have to like you're throwing the kitchen sink. So you're taking off a midfielder and you're bringing him in. You're not taking out Rashford and bringing him in because you lose what you get with that connection that he had with Xerxes. But I don't know, man. It's one of those ones. Like I think yesterday, I keep saying this every time, but yesterday was the first time where I feel like the penny really, really dropped. Like I have lowered my expectations after yesterday. Like I've really lowered them. So that's a big con. Where the goals coming from. Like that's a huge con for me because
one of the biggest, isn't it?
It's one of the biggest. Because realistically, if I ask you, like how many goals do you think Ahmad would score? Just realistically.
No, I think you're looking 8 to 10.
Exactly, and then Marcus Rashford's kind of similar, maybe or less. I don't know.
On that, I brought up stats yesterday, so I was looking at like the top wingers who were getting a lot of goals. For you look at Saka's record, Cole Palmer, Salah. We don't have anyone like that who's going to get you 20 goals and 10 assists in a season. No one. So it's the only goals we seem to get. Even if you look at the stats now, the majority of the goals it's Barnsley and Southampton.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The rest is like 1-0s, 0-0s.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking.
And people like Salah, like Saka, like sometimes even when they had bad games,
they always get a goal. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the assistant, or the influence of the game. Like when Rashford has a bad game.
Yeah.
When he has a bad game, it's bad. Right. So yeah. Right.
On to the next one because we've got another negative to discuss. Individual mistakes. I mean, it's like we're literally back at last year, honestly. That from Christian Eriksen, something you would not associate with him, an extremely intelligent footballer. I was joking last night saying I don't know if it's his neck, a bit of WD-40, and he can't, he's not got his head on a swivel, whatever it is. But the awareness and wayward passes at times throughout the game, it's just not good, is it? Like when Maguire does it, you kind of like, no offense to him, it's happened before with him, innit? Like I've seen him do it like on multiple occasions. When Christian Eriksen does it, you're like, that's, the lack of awareness. There's a simple pass back to Onana, innit?
Just
And
give it back.
that's lost you the game, where they lost you the points. Just that moment alone.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Just give it back, but they picked his pocket, man. Like, that's what happened. And I think the positioning of the 20 players, because like whenever they got a break, they weren't really isolated. Like if there was a runner, there was someone supporting that run with it. So Eriksen had a player on either side of him.
Yep.
But he was aware of the guy who was on his right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like kind of like the last minute where the guy comes and just picks his pocket from behind and goes in. But individual mistakes, it happens, man. Like
I get it happens, but it seems to happen more with United. I feel like.
I think it cost us more. Like a lot of the goals that we concede come from like individual mistakes, which is horrible, because you see lots of other teams like they make mistakes, but they don't really get punished for us. But somehow we end up being in a position where it gives the opposition the upper hand on us, and then they kind of gain that advantage. So that's terrible. But I think I mean, it happens. But I think at this point, we as fans have the right to be pissed off at it, because it's happened. Yeah, it's happened too many times, and it ends up costing us a lot. It could have been 2. When Dalot was marshalling the ball out there, he was going to flick it back on the defender to get through.
He's a back heel. Oh,
missed
my
it.
God.
The guy gets it, and then whatever his name is, Hammer, or I forgot his name, has a pretty it was so close, and that would have just literally handed it to them on the play early in the game. So it's stupid things like that. That's very similar to what Casemiro did last season at Palace. They just pushed up the ball at that corner, and then bring the ball back, and it's just like So it's just
about that.
So it happens, but why do we always have to suffer from it, like as fans? And it's terrible.
Mm-hmm. The last negative I want to discuss is time. Now, that might sound like a bit of a weird one for people who's watching, or even for yourself, Civir, but I feel like the time is getting away from us, and also time is running out a little bit for Erik ten Hag, if I'm honest, because I'm looking at Chelsea right now, right? Enzo Maresca has just come into a squad that is just, way too many players. There's a lot of talent in there, guaranteed, but sometimes coaches will tell you that's a worst thing, because you've got so many egos and so many profiles to manage. And he's come in, and if you actually look at Chelsea, the away results that they're getting, the way they're playing, they actually look decent. And I remember you saying this as well in pre-season, I think it was, like they looked all right under Enzo. And you've seen the time change instantly like that. And even new managers that are going into clubs, Arne Slot obviously inherited a different squad at Liverpool, but the improvement has been significant. A lot of people talking about this is Ineos' first year, so it's ten Hag's first year, but I don't feel like that personally. I don't buy that. So time is running out, innit? Because you look at these performances that we're putting in, you're dropping points in your opening game at Old Trafford to FC Twente. Like, the credit's running out, innit?
Also, I think time, I think you also mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you mean momentum as well. Like, correct. It's kind of, so we got the win against Southampton, got the win against Barnsley. That was kind of, and I was like, okay, this is what carries you. This is the kind of momentum that then carries you, because this is what football is about. Like, if you can ride that wave, it kind of builds and keeps going, and then it kind of went flat at Palace, and it just went totally flat yesterday, and it's like we're going to have to start all over again. Chelsea picked up on that momentum, and they've just been flying since. Completely, like they beat, I think they beat the Europa game was they beat, was it? I don't remember who they beat 5-0 last week.
Last week, trying to think. Well, they slapped Wolves 6-2, didn't they, a couple of weeks ago? And I mean, they beat Barrow in the League Cup the other day, and Kunku scored a hat-trick. Like,
and then yesterday,
a lot of goals.
5-1. And then yesterday, have they played in the Conference League? I'm not sure. I'm getting sidetracked. But the point I'm trying to make is that they are building on their momentum.
Yeah.
And us and Chelsea were kind of like in the same boat. Us, Chelsea, sort of Tottenham, in the same boat. And they're now pulling away from us. Like, we can't seem to get this. And just on your point on the manager, it is his third season. There's nobody can say Ineos or whatever. This is his third season. He's had these players for 2 complete seasons, and it appears to me that I'm not sure this guy really knows what his best team is at the moment. That's what it looks like to me. I don't think he knows the best way to
and the attack in particular. I think the back 5 sorted, but the
back 5 sorted, but I don't think he fully knows how to apply these guys, because I think under another manager we're a much better team. Honestly, this is how I feel, and I don't think he really knows how to apply them. And to get to your point about Maresca, and he already knew he didn't want Sterling. He already knew, like, he just ostracized anyone who wasn't part of his team.
Ruthless.
Go. Like, I don't need you. I'm not going to try and shoo you in here. Oh, maybe you could do this. No. You don't fit the profile that I need.
Yeah.
So you're gone. Just try, save yourself the embarrassment. Save the whole. Let's not get into any sagas. Just go away. Just go train somewhere else and find another club, because I have the players at this club. I've identified them for certain positions that I want them to play, and he knows what he wants to do. That's why he's gone out and he can apply his team, and they can produce results. I don't think this guy really knows what he wants to do. I don't think he knows his strongest team. Honestly, I really don't. And I was going to give him 5 games or whatever this season, because I was a big fan of him leaving. But I think now, like, that's it. I can't allow myself to be upset anymore. So my expectations are, we will not, I will say this now, we're not going to go anywhere with this guy. I honestly believe that, because if you can't make a statement, I mean, at the very least, against FC Twente, at home, with your full squad, I don't know what else. I mean,
much better squad as well, by the way. A much better squad. Like, you look at the bench.
I mean, these guys are bang average.
Yeah.
20, but they are a team.
Yeah.
They're a team.
And for a period in the second half, they was playing much better football than us. And it was weird for me that they went more pragmatic. They switched to a 5-4-1. They brought off some of the best players. I was like, you could have got a win at Old Trafford there, I think, if you persisted with it. I thought it was a little bit bizarre.
There were a few times when they played through the press, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, what's happening?" Like, there were a few times, and they knew it was like they were like hunting. They knew when to turn it on, when to they knew when to attack, when to go as a group, and they were really, really organized. And I was looking like, who's the manager? Like, I've never seen this guy before. Like,
do you know? Do you know what I thought was interesting? So I was listening to someone who does coaching at like a high level. I was listening to something the other day, and he was speaking about Ten Hag, and he was like, the Ten Hag's issue is, so when he was in the Eredivisie, he wouldn't focus as much on build-up, because a lot of the teams would just play a low block, and the emphasis would be on him to chance creation, press, win the ball back quickly. So he wouldn't ignore build-up, but it wouldn't be a priority for him. It'd be more, the third end of the pitch. And he's tried implementing the same game in the Premier League. And in the Premier League, I know we'll talk about Europa League in a minute, but in the Premier League, you have teams who aggressively press shot, who are quick in transition. And he seems to have neglected the build-up part for a lot of it. You think about, even the game against Liverpool, Casemiro, the wing-backs push right on. There's no one near him. And again, I know this is something you've spoken about, but I just thought it was an interesting insight to maybe he's underestimated the Premier League a little bit to implement this style, and he's been too stubborn with it, and now it's kind of hitting him back slightly. But,
it's almost as if he has. It's almost as if he has a point to prove, because in his first season, like I've been saying this a lot, like we could easily just build on what we did the first. Yeah, it might have been a little bit more boring. But if we could build on that, because we had a really good, we're solid at the back. I think we only less than like 15 goals all season or something in his first. We had a really good defensive record. I think we had the best defense on, like, statistically this first season. If you check it, I think we had 15 clean sheets, something.
Golden Glove. The hair won the Golden Glove.
Yeah. So I was expecting him to just build on that, just. And then he just goes completely different. And I think if he builds on it, like what Pep does every season, and I think I've seen that with Arsenal this season, is that he kind of just changes a little bit, just
tweaks something every time, don't
he? Tweaks something every time. You don't have to just completely, clean, just wipe it clean and start, a completely new sort of system. And And I think it's too risky what we're trying to do. Sometimes we build the ball, but you need players. You need really, really good technical players to play this style of football that he's playing. And you notice that when we have the ball players on the pitch, we're a lot better.
Yeah.
But then when they go, sorry, go on.
No, finish your point. Finish your point. Go for it.
Yeah, when they're not around, when they get taken off, everything just dies, completely. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Right, well, we've got quite a few views in the chat. We're going to dive into the positives to try and end the show on a lighter note, because it has been quite a lot of negative talk, but that's just what United bring out of you. So please do smash a like on the video if you are just joining and subscribe to the channel. Currently on 7,010 subs, which is amazing. So yeah, please do keep subscribing. We've got Steph, Elite Baller, Brian Casey, Andy Williams, Sam's in the chat as well to give his opinions. We've got Lucky Singh, got Richard Hawkins, loads is in the chat. Captain Magnifico, lads. It's not been magnificent at the minute, I'll tell you that for free. To be fair, I should have put Bruno in there again, but I feel like I've done that many pros and cons now, where I've just spoke about Bruno every single, week in, week out. I'm getting fed up with him in a minute. Really fed up with him. Robbie Savage lookalike made some important saves, but wasn't really tested too pedestrian.
He really does look like
He does, yeah. You can say what you want, but I have to be prepared for others to have a different opinion. Some people going back and forth in the chat. I think we need to see Xerxes play behind Højlund. Bear that thought in mind, and I'll come back to it. Players went out with the wrong mentality. I think underestimated FC Twente and paid the price. Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen out. Don't want to see them in the next game. Richard's wishing you happy birthday, Chivy. Or he's called you Chivas and Jimmy. Chivas and Jimmy. Punch Paint saying it's all good, fellas. Let it go. Again, people arguing in the chat, so that's fine. I'll come back to the comments in a minute because it's just people arguing over United. There's nothing new there. Right, let's go to the positives then, because we want to end it on a lighter note. Talk to me, Chivy, about Marcus Rashford and Joshua Xerxes, because I see something blossoming there very similar to Anthony Martial and Rashford. I think the link up at times is really good. A couple of nice back heels in for him. There seems to be a working relationship there at the moment, doesn't there? And a foundation to build off. Yeah,
it's like they're looking for each other whenever they have the ball, especially Xerxes. Like he's kind of looking, and yeah, it's good because what that also does for Rashford is it gives him confidence. It gives him, he wants to play more, sort of thing. So yeah, it's great. Hopefully something feasible can come out of it. One thing that was actually quite important or crucial to the Martial and Rashford link was Bruno, because Bruno had a really good link up with Martial as well. And sometimes them three, like they kind of Bruno kind of was able to allow them play that sort of football. So we really need this guy to be back on, back on form to allow that to happen, because it's good. It's a good thing. I was just going to go negative somewhere about that.
Yeah, we'll stay positive. Keep the positive vibes, because it's so easy to be flippant.
It's good to see. No, it's really, really good to see. And yeah, long may it continue. I really want to see more of that. And I think, because Rashford has been playing sort of like his shoulders down, but I think he needs something to kind of like, get him to fall in love again with football. So yeah, hopefully him and Xerxes can have an even better connection.
The thing is, when you bring in a Joshua Xerxes, he's the facilitator in it. So with him coming in, you then the reliance on the wingers is so heavy, and they have to start scoring. Otherwise, your whole attack. I know Xerxes has the odd shot. He had a couple of good opportunity on his left foot. I think sent the defender to Tesco, and he's had a couple of opportunities, and even in the Liverpool game he had two. Crystal Palace, I think he had one or two. So there's opportunities there, but I think the wingers need to really start hitting some form, and I think we might be okay in that sense, because the patterns are there, the link up is there, but they're just, like we said, we already touched on not finishing the chances, which is on the negative section. So yeah, I'm happy Rashford looks a bit more comfortable alongside Xerxes. Hopefully that relationship can continue. Right, on to the next positive then. We spoke about Eriksen's mistake. Eriksen's form, I believe, needs to be spoken about, because this is a guy who was talking about being sold for 5 mil to Ajax and not really caring about it, and saying he's not going to really get any minutes, he's not going to feature in the team, and he's come into the team. Has it shocked you how much he's become a regular on this side?
What, this season or just in general?
This season.
No, not really, because Well, what's been shocking is that he's been getting minutes, but I've always rated him.
Yeah.
I've always rated Ericsson. I always knew that he could give us something somewhere. What I'm most surprised about is that he's been able to sort of fight his way back into the team, and I'm really happy about that. And I think he deserves the plaudits. It was unfortunate what happened to him yesterday, because there was quite a few players that lost the ball in the midfield as well. So it's not just the only one, but it's just it's kind of just unfair. Well, unfortunate that when he loses the ball, they kind of go and score. And you could see he was hurt after that happened as well. And I like the fact that he gave a few interviews after the game as well, like took responsibility for it. So that's something that we need to, register. We need to talk about as well. But I'm happy for him, and I really, really hope that he can build on this, because he's not that old, is he? He's 33, 34.
He's younger. He's like 31, Ericsson. He looks
Exactly.
older than he is, to be fair to him.
Yeah.
But he's like the wise man in the midfield, isn't
A wise man, the bearded, with the nice little thing.
I can imagine him in a wizard cloak with like the whole kind of shebang on, definitely. But my issue with Ericsson is, I think he's a wonderful footballer, and I think there's a lot of things that he adds to the team. But when you're coming up against the big teams, I think that's where you're going to struggle. I don't think you can put him into the side, personally, for me.
Yeah, I get it, but it depends on what you're trying to achieve when you play him. When he played for Brentford, mate, you can't deny it. Like he was quite good for them.
He was good, but he had a support system. They played with a back five. They had two like solid defensive midfielders behind him, and he had a bit more of a free reign. At United, they're asking him to progress the ball. He's more of an 8 inner. So when you have transitions, if you're playing against the City, you're not going to have a lot of the ball. Is going to be a lot of legwork that he's doing, isn't there?
I would love to see him play the 10. I'd absolutely love to see him play the 10. But I think we have this thing where, I don't know, where we just feel like Bruno Fernandes has to play. He doesn't always have to play. I'd love to see an experiment with Ericsson the 10, and then having 2 8s behind him, and then just having to orchestrate, because Ericsson doesn't need time on the ball. He doesn't.
Yeah. He
needs a couple of seconds. Yeah, he already knows where the ball is going when he gets it. So doesn't need to do all the building up and stuff. He doesn't need that much time on it. Like, he knows what to do with it. So yeah, I'd love to see him in the 10. He has a good eye for goal as well. He snips opportunities, timing his runs into the box. It reminds me of Pires. Anyone who knows like Pires from Arsenal, he was so good at Pires was like, he was not athletic, none of that, but his timing was impeccable. Like, if he was a basketball player, he'd be like, he would have like the highest rebounds or anything, because he just knows how to time. So Ericsson kind of gives me this kind of vibe in terms of the way he crashes the box and sniffs out chances. But I'd love to see him in the 10, absolutely. And I hope one day maybe he does, maybe the manager just goes radical.
Yeah. I think the way Ten Hag wants to play, because he always talks about turnovers, doesn't he, and possession won in the final third, and that's not Ericsson's game. I'm not saying that's right, why you should.
I get it.
But I think that's why Ericsson doesn't play there, because he ain't that guy who's going to be aggressive like a Mount or Bruno, win the ball back, get a quick turnover, and try hurt the team.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense, yeah.
So that's why he doesn't do it. But actually, as a footballer, when you watch him for Denmark with Højbjerg and Humberland behind him, he's got free reign and he is quite good. But I don't know, it's a conversation for sure. I think maybe if Maresca came in, he might use someone like Ericsson more. Do you know what I mean? It just depends on the coach's profile and what they want from a player. But I think his form's been good, and his goal yesterday as well, which we've not even touched on. What a finish that was in the top corner.
Rocket.
Really, really good.
Absolute rocket, yeah.
Top finish. So, right,
good well taken,
let's go to the last one, the last negative, and then we'll kind of conclude the show. We've got players returning. That's the last positive I could think of to try to drag something out of this. if you would even call that, a positive. You've got Mount and Højlund back on the pitch. More players means more competition, which hopefully will push other players around him. But no excuses now. Like, to kind of come full circle, because we started off talking about this, when you've got the squad that you have when you play against FC Twente, our bench yesterday, Casemiro, Højlund, Mason Mount, Antony, Garnacho, like every single one of them would get in FC Twente's team easily. No doubt would get in their team. And that's our bench. So there is no excuses now for the manager then to come out after a game and say, we haven't got options, we can't rotate, we've not got this, blah, blah, blah. But it's nice having almost everyone fit in it, especially when Euro comes back as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see, especially with Euro coming back with Malacia, because, we're really worried about that left back position. It's good to see that. Mason Mount and who else was there? Hoyland. Like Hoyland's been back. He's been used as a sub a few times, but we haven't really
He's
seen
not
that
made
much
an
of him.
impact at all, has he?
Yeah, he hasn't really made an impact. I'm hoping when we play, are we playing Spurs away or at home?
Oh, we are playing them at home, Old Trafford.
At home. Yeah, I'm hoping we kind of deploy one of those sit back and defend sort of things with space, and then Hoyland, yeah, we can
Merge the
just
high line.
exploit all the, just exploit the space right behind him and stuff like that, because it's very important that these players get into form, to get feeling good again, to get scoring, assisting, things like that. And if anyone needs it, is the ones coming back from injury, especially Mount and Hoyland. But yeah, it's good. It's really good to see. And I really want to see Luke Shaw back. I know he's frustrating a lot of people, but I really want to see him back.
We had the Muppeteers.
But yeah,
last
that's a positive.
We had the Muppeteers last night report that Shaw, his internal concerns from Carrington about his fitness, like completely, and they might have to be forced to make a move in January for a left back. So there's obviously something going on with him, and I with Shaw now, I'm just like, it is, if it happens, it happens. If not, I'm not going to hold my breath.
But don't forget, this is the positive section of the show, Nick.
Yeah, I know. It's hard, though, isn't it? Because you can just drag you think about anything kind of correlated to it just drags you right back down, doesn't it? It's difficult.
It's hard, especially coming after yesterday's game, like just feeling flat, seeing everyone else, all my group chats, Arsenal 5-1, Liverpool 5-1, like, wait,
I was on a call with my boss before, and he's a Rangers fan. And obviously, we play Rangers in the Europa League at some point, I think January. And he's like, I'm looking forward to that game because I fancy my chances. And I'm like, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all the way we're playing.
The guy who scored yesterday played for Rangers. The guy.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, Summer Lovers, is it?
Yeah.
And I kept thinking of the Grease song with Summer Lover. Had me a blast. His name sounds like that, Summer Lover. I just couldn't stop thinking of it.
That would be a good chance.
It would, wouldn't it? I was thinking that. Surely that must be a Dutch. If they've not already, then copyright it and take it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What a classic. Summer Lammers. Had me a blast. Right, let's round it off then, Civir. Next fixtures, we've got Tottenham at home, as you've just mentioned. Porto away in the Europa League. Aston Villa away in the Premier League. Brentford at home, and then Fenerbahce away. That is our next 5 games. How do you fancy our chances in those?
Mate, let me ask you this. By the time we play Fenerbahce, do you think Ruud van Nistelrooy will be your head coach?
Oh, God.
Is it possible?
That's end of October we play Fenerbahce, so 24th of October. I think obviously you got an international break in there somewhere as well. Maybe not actually. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think there's an international break at the end of. Well, I think that's after. Is that
after? Yeah, I think it might be November-ish usually. I think it is start of November. But to be honest,
honestly, let's not forget being negative or positive. Let's just be realistic here. We're being realistic based on what we know, based on what we've seen so far. If we're being logical, realistic, Tottenham, Villa away, Porto away,
Brentford had a decent start to the season as well.
Brentford,
and
Fenerbahce.
Jose Mourinho. You know what he's going to do.
Who's a cop manager? That's what he does.
Yeah.
Every time we face anyone that has been organized, you don't even have to be a decent team. Just be organized.
Yep.
And Southampton were a penalty kick away from running away with it because they were very organized. Now, after they missed that penalty and all that, Barnsley was Barnsley. But every time we face an organized team, we've come short. Is it not realistic to think that by the time we face Fenerbahce, we'd have another manager? I think that might be the case. I think so. But
that's quite strong, isn't it? I don't know if... Because what's been putting out there, the Ineos, after the majority of results, they're backing him and they're seeing this and da-da-da. I think you would have to if you lose to Tottenham, lose to Porto, if it really goes that bad, I think you have to, but I just don't know if they will. I mean, I don't know if they'll wait until Christmas to make a decision. Give it a 6-month period with all these new players. I'm not sure. But look, if it's one thing for sure, we're already 11th in the league. We've already got 1 point in the Europa League. You lose the next 2 or 3 games. I don't know how you don't.
We might not even lose a lot of these games. We might just be drawing them. I see a lot of draws, like just draws.
Yeah.
Brentford, yeah. I just see a lot of, so we might not actually like lose all of them. It might just be a couple of draws. But I get your point that Ineos probably would be a little bit more rational in the sense that they will not just pull the plug without having someone in place. Sort of, maybe, but at the same time, maybe that's why they've got Van Nistelrooy to sort of like, whilst that's happening, he kind of steadies the ship.
Because he was looking at other managers. He was well known. So there must be something in their brains where he was like, he's not the guaranteed one, because if he was doing really, really well, they would have come in and it wouldn't have been a conversation. So there's something that they've seen that they don't like, and they're like, I don't know if this is going to work out. So let's just give him an extension. Let's bring Ruud in. If we need a contingency plan, he's there. We can fall back on that, and then we can go get a big coach next summer, potentially, depending on how Ruud does.
Absolutely. And I think they've also been very, very smart with the way they've played it, because obviously Ten Hag had like majority of the fans behind him at the time. If they sacked him and brought someone else in who wasn't performing, it would have just been absolute chaos. It's on them. Now, if they do make this decision, then it's all, everyone, there's not going to be any sort of like protest or anything. Everybody will understand why you've made the decision now. So they played it really smart, I think. I want my team to succeed, so hopefully he turns things around. I'm a forgiving person. I'm happy to forgive him if he's able to turn it around and prove me wrong. Why not? Let's do that. But yeah, it remains to be seen. I don't have any faith going into this next 5 games you just mentioned. I was only thinking about Tottenham and Villa. I didn't even know what was coming after that. So yeah.
So let's just finish on this then. If you're to, not an obvious manager like Pep Guardiola or whatever, but if you're to bring someone in or a certain style that you would like to see, who would that be?
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I'll go back. Go back to Tuchel and be like, let's talk. Let's have another. Let's have a coffee. And see what.
Get him at Starbucks. Yeah, we've got the new spice pumpkin lattes that have just come in.
Exactly.
Let's have a chat. Tuchel.
Meet me at Costa.
Yeah, because I remember him coming in at Chelsea against Wolves when they was awful defensively, and as soon as he came in, back 5 just kind of shored it up. Which a lot of people have kind of a negative connotation with the back 5. I don't mind it because I think Euros have been won off it. You see, Champions League's been won off it. It can be effective if you use it the right way. And he came in and he shored them up instantly. He was keeping clean sheet after clean sheet, but still winning games as well. So
I saw his first time. I saw his first time when he came to Old Trafford when we played them, and I was so scared. I've never, like, he just always managed to have Alonso free, alone. Like, he read, I think it was Ragnick at the time. He read Ragnick like a book, and they played. Cristiano Ronaldo rescued us at the end of that game. He scored like
I was at the game. I think both of us were at the game, weren't we? Old Trafford.
I think so. Yeah, I was at Stretford and literally scored right in front of me. I was ecstatic. But man, Tuchel. And then another thing about Tuchel was I remember before the Champions League final with Man City, I watched Pep Guardiola's interview, and that man, I could tell that Guardiola was losing sleep. Like the way he was analyzing Chelsea's setup, he was like losing sleep. He was he was just like, he was just like, man, he was, it's crazy. He's still planning on how to set up and everything. I'm just like, man, this is what Tuchel is doing to him. So yeah, I mean, just to answer your question, maybe have another conversation, maybe see, but I think what Ineos is also doing is, and what I like about them is they'll take their time. Like everything else is set up. Everything else is set up, they would take their time, go through Europe, and make sure that the next one they get is the one. That's their guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it means waiting another season, so be it. Just riding out the road.
The main concern with Tuchel would be you just got De Ligt, Mazraoui in. You know what I mean? It'd be like you just spent 60 million quid,
man.
and then Tuchel's coming in, and it's like fucking hell, man. I just got away from him at Bayern Munich.
Let's get away
You know,
from this
you know
guy.
what I mean? So I don't know, and I also think they would clash slightly in Ineos and Tuchel because they want a certain way of working, and they want a man to focus on the coaching and do this. We're going to set the style, and so I don't know how that dynamic could work, and I think that's initially why the meeting didn't go to plan in the first place.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. That's kind of like news.
Fun times, Manchester United.
What about yourself? Who would you go for?
Do you know what? I wouldn't go for him specifically, but when I'm talking about the style, I really liked the way Spain played in the Euros. Really, really liked it because they kept a lot of possession, but then when they needed to, the 1v1s with Lamal and Nico Williams at the side and the overlapping, I really liked that whole kind of strategy and process. But again, I don't know enough about that guy. I mean, he's just won a Euros with Spain, so I doubt he'd want to move on. But if I'm talking about certain style, I like that. Someone mentioned Nagelsmann. I think Germany looked good in the Euros as well, the way they set up, the way they press and play. But I don't know. It's weird that we're already talking. It's September and we're talking about what manager could be next, isn't it? That's the damning thing. But
that's the thing. And I'm sure this conversation is being whispered.
Of course.
In some corridors in Old Trafford.
Yeah, 100%.
Probably, yeah.
100%. So we said we was going to end on a positive, but it's difficult, and it's been a recurring theme. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Sorry I couldn't read out as many comments, but it was a lot of stuff to get through. We're going to be back at 7 o'clock tonight with some more interactive stuff. So please do keep supporting. Subscribe to the channel, smash a like on the video. Check us out on socials for all your latest news updates, anything kind of transfer related or just news in general. Sam does a really good job over on Instagram. Check us out on Twitter as well for further ones on there. And then TikTok. We're almost at 30k on TikTok. So, yeah, amazing stuff. And yeah, cheers for coming on, Civir. Appreciate you, brother.